got plans of what you want to do or where you want to put things like your bed in your kitchen and things like that?
So because we've been waiting for these borders to open and for us to return home, we're sort of in this limbo stage. As I said, we're staying with friends and we have nothing to do but plan. So we have planned the entire thing. I'm such a planner. I have a massive spreadsheet of all of our costs and all of our
Oh,
tasks,
amazing.
and we've already drawn out all the floor plans. I have stalked so many people on Instagram that have already done this and are currently doing it, which is amazing. But I think having the experience of doing a vintage caravan, and we did that from scratch. We had to strip it all the way back to bare bones.
Yeah.
The work on the bus isn't so great because A, it's not as old, and B, the outside is in amazing condition. So
Oh,
you don't
amazing.
have to strip it all the way back to bare bones. I mean, you do have to strip the inside out.
But yeah.
But it's not falling apart is what I'm trying to say. And we don't
Yeah.
have to restore it so much. It truly is a conversion rather than a restoration.
That's amazing, and that just makes life so much easier. It's like the gold dust of finding a space to be able to convert is perfect. Are you going to be adding insulation and things in? Is that what you need to do for the inside?
Absolutely. So it's currently a 22-seater bus. So we will take out all of the seats, all of the walls, floor and ceiling lining will come out, and then we will start from scratch. It will be rewired, it'll have insulation, it'll have new walls and floors, and then we'll start the actual fit out of it. But we have everything planned out. So we're hoping the build only takes us about 3 months. We'll be working on it full time every day.
I see. Amazing. And will you both be quite hands-on with the build?
Yes, absolutely. The only thing we'll outsource is our electrician.
Yeah.
Obviously, safety and compliance reasons.
Yeah.
But we're so very fortunate. A friend of ours has a property that's just on the New South Wales Queensland border, on the Queensland side, and they have 5 sheds on this property. And we're actually renting one of the sheds off them, and we're going to be living in there and doing up the bus at the same time.
Amazing. Oh, that's such a good tip, because I think if you can find somewhere like that, so for example in the UK sometimes we've got farms and things that have got barns and little outlets and things. If you can find somewhere like that, it gives you a chance to just be able to focus, get the work done, but you're in a sheltered space. You haven't got to rely on weather of when you can and can't do jobs.
Yeah, Nicole, that is so important. So when we did the vintage caravan, it was actually the same friends that we're using their property. In a suburban setting, and it was in there literally by the side of their house. We had no shelter. It was the middle of summer. We had to store everything inside the van, and we're going into summer here in Australia. So we are starting to go into some really hot weather. So to be able to set up fans and have shelter is going to be just amazing. It's going to be so good.
That's fantastic. And with your was it a Viscount caravan that you used?
It was a Viscount, yes.
It was. So it's so beautiful on your feed. Your caravans are so stunning. And I noticed that it's painted on the outside. And I wanted to ask you, how did you go about painting it? And if that's something that you will do on the bus as well?
Yes. So the bus will be painted. But it was such a long process to paint the outside of that caravan. It was so badly damaged that I actually had to do a lot of patch-up work first.
Yeah.
And I was misinformed about A, the patch-up products that we were using, and then B, the undercoat that we put on.
I see.
So after we patched it, I put an undercoat on, and the top coat. So it's a product called an etch primer.
Yeah.
Because the caravan's aluminium, we needed an etched primer to stick to the aluminium, so then the paint would stick to the primer, and that had to be applied within 24 hours.
Oh, I see.
thought it meant after 24 hours, not within that 20.
Yeah, normally it's
like
after.
As soon as the 24 hours had lapsed.
Yeah.
So we left it the whole week and realised that we had to then take all that primer off that we could do the But then we realized, so we did that and we reprimed it. But then we realized that the bog that we'd use had sunk in some of the patches. So we had to strip it up again. So I actually stripped the caravan 3 times.
Oh no.
And it is one of the worst jobs ever. But having said that, we came up with such a great finish. And I actually did that with a roller and a paintbrush.
Did you? See,
yes.
You would not know that that was done with a roller and a paintbrush.
No, so
it's
many
really
people
smooth.
have said that it is super smooth, and it's a satin finish paint.
Okay.
But this time on the bus, I am going to try a spray gun.
Okay.
And I don't need to take the bus back to bare metal.
Yeah.
I'm lucky that it's got a really great paint job on it currently. It's just all white.
Oh, amazing. So it's already
we'll be
white.
Painting the bottom half a colour.
Cool. That is so cool.
It'll be very different to our caravan. It's got a completely different look and feel. So yeah, it's nice to do something different.
Amazing. That's so good. And it's so lovely to hear how it didn't work out as well with the painting and the things that you need to look out for, because there are so many elements when you're sort of doing a conversion or renovating something. There's so many times that you feel like you're doing like 2 steps forward and then 1 step back when something goes wrong and change stuff. And so it's really, really good. And it's good for people to sort of just double check those things as well.
Oh yeah, and look, and sometimes if something does go wrong, people go, "Oh, but you made a mistake." You don't make a mistake; it's just a learning that you do.
Definitely.
Sometimes something going wrong can force you into another direction that makes you do something that you would never have thought of.
Yeah,
and it's actually even better than your original idea. So those mistakes, I suppose, are really important through the process, and to acknowledge them. I think there's too much out there on Instagram. Everyone wants to show all the pretty stuff and no one wants to look like they don't know what they're doing. But it is really important to put your hand up when something goes wrong and say, look, this went wrong, but this is how we fixed it.
Yeah, definitely. It's so important. And it's so true. I've had that recently I was doing some lovely painting, and the undercoat, it was reacting with the paint. It just wasn't working and it wasn't giving the finish that it was meant to. And it was my fault because I was so eager. I was like, yes, let's put this paint on. And I should have done a few testers, but I was like, no, I put it on. But all I've done is I've just stripped it back and I'll get another paint, and I know that paint I can use in another part, but it will work out really well because, like you say, whatever is going to go there now is going to be just as lovely. So it's all such a learning curve, so it's really, really good. I definitely agree with you with that.
Sure.
Definitely. So what made you decide to renovate the Viscounts originally?
Yes.
And then what made you have that change to go, actually, we're done with the caravans, let's go for a bus that's sort of a moving vehicle?
Yeah, sure. So the reason behind the caravan was really, it was I'm going to be perfectly honest, it was a COVID project. So we were locked down, and like everybody else, we were looking for something to do, and it was a great trend at the time, or it still is, and everyone was doing it, and I thought, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. How hard can this be? We've renovated whole houses. This is a tiny caravan. How wrong I was. But so it took us 7 months to renovate that caravan from scratch, and we went doubly over time and doubly over budget. We were both working full time at the time, and we're doing it only on the weekends.
Yeah.
And really put ourselves under a great deal of pressure to get it done by a certain date. And then it's a really funny story. We took it away for a test run in February just for 1 week. And I actually hated the first night.
Oh, did you?
Oh my goodness, I hated it so much. It was hot. I was being bitten by midges.
Oh.
I just don't think I was in the right headspace. And I said to my husband the next morning, let's just sell this thing when we get home and be done with it and put it down to experience. Anyway, by the end of the very first week, we really enjoyed it. And then we set off in April, and as I said, have been traveling ever since, and just loved it more and more. The more time we spent away, the more we realized we'd been bitten by the gypsy bug.
Ah, amazing.
always loved traveling, and I don't think we realised how much we would enjoy living in a small space. We actually have a 1-bedroom apartment in Brisbane that we were living in.
Cool.
So we used to living in quite a small space, but I think you get out more. You appreciate the few things you have.
Yeah.
And it makes you explore your environment. You know, nobody wants to sit inside a caravan all the time. So we would literally go out in the morning and not come back till, you know, the sun went down, and sometimes even later. So
that's amazing.
Yeah, and we went to some amazing places and saw so much beautiful nature, met so many amazing people, and we had actually put our overseas, we were meant to go overseas. That was the whole thing that started it, but because of COVID, we couldn't. So we retired in February and decided that we would travel overseas. And when we couldn't, then we thought, well, we'll do the caravan. And then with things not opening up as quickly as we thought, and loving it so much, we thought, why not sell the caravan, upgrade to something bigger, and then we can spend 6 months traveling around Australia and 6 months in Europe.
Amazing.
That is how it all came about.
That's so cool. So that's how the bus idea came about, so that you can move more easily with it. Yeah. Although I guess the bus much bigger than the Viscount? Is it much longer, or is it quite similar?
No, it is longer. The bus is, from the front of the bus to the back of the bus, is just a little over 7 meters. And our Viscount was just under 5 meters.
Okay, cool.
So it's a couple of meters longer, but the benefit of the bus is the fact that we don't have to double back. So what I mean is, we would go out during the day in our car, but we would always have to double back and come back to the caravan at night. We saw people pull up by the side of the road or at a beach, and they had everything there with them. And we thought, that's what we want. So that's why we've combined the caravan and the car into one, which is a bus.
Yeah.
Our traveling mode and our sleeping mode is now all in one.
That's so interesting. You don't always think about that beforehand.
No.
You know, with traveling and things like that. So it's really interesting, and it makes total sense, because that doesn't work for everyone, that doubling back on yourself. I know for me, I'd want to be able to just go, oh, I'll just stop here. And sometimes you get quite tired as well from driving and things like that. So it's really good to be able to just go, right, we're stopping for the night. And sometimes you come across the most amazing spots. You don't want to leave it and have to go back on yourself. So that's really, really good. It makes perfect sense. Oh, this is so exciting.
The other thing was that the caravan was only set up to be in caravan parks.
Okay.
So it was only set up for 240-volt electricity. So if we weren't in a park, we had no electricity. The bus will be fully self-sustainable, fully off-grid.
Oh, amazing.
So from water to all of our solar and electrics, we will be fully off-grid. So yeah, if we're tired and we want to pull up by the side of the road and have a little nap, we can.
That's so cool. That's fantastic that you're going to set it up so it's all off-grid. And that was something that I wanted to ask you, was if you could just chat us through your design ideas for your new bus that you're doing.
So the back of the bus will be where our bed is.
Okay.
And my husband is 6'4".
Oh, so wow.
My dream was to have a combi, but he doesn't fit in a combi, so we had to upgrade to a bus. So we will have a full queen size bed, which is exactly what we had in our Viscount.
Oh,
and
cool.
we planned the whole Viscount build around the fact that we needed a queen size bed. So we'll once again have a queen size bed. We'll have a full kitchen down one side of the bus. The other side will be a table and chair, like a little dinette seating area.
Yeah.
That can convert into a single bed if our son happened to come and wanted to stay with us.
Yeah.
And then up the front behind the driver's seat, behind the passenger seat is where our fridge will go.
Yeah.
And we'll have storage behind the driver's seat. We've got solar panels on the roof and a full rooftop deck.
Ah, cool. So you can go on top. I love rooftop decks.
Yeah, and our caravan had a vintage awning on it.
Yeah.
So the same people that made that vintage awning are actually going to make a vintage awning for our bus.
Oh,
now,
wow.
most buses don't have. Yeah, so most buses don't have like a vintage awning. They have quite a modern style awning attached to the side, but we're actually going to have a vintage awning on ours.
That's really cool. That's so cool to put that onto the bus. Is that a fabric awning?
Yeah, it is, but it's made out of a water resistant material, like a tent material. It's actually being custom printed for us in our custom colours.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. And what I did forget to mention is that there will be a toilet inside the bus that we didn't have in the caravan, but it's an outdoor shower. But we do have hot and cold water.
You do? Oh, amazing. So is your outdoor shower, will that be on the back of the bus, on the inside of the doors or side?
Yeah, it'll be on the driver's side. So
driver's side.
The non-pretty side of the bus.
Yeah.
But we've got a tent. It's a tent setup, so it looks like an awning on the outside of the bus, and you pull a couple of arms out, and it's like a 4-sided tent. It's like a little shower cubicle.
Oh, cool!
Yeah.
Oh, that's so interesting, because a lot of people look at doing the outdoor showers, but it's hard to find something like that, like you say, almost like a tent awning that you can use as a cubicle. Because I'd rather have something that's like that, which I think is great. Unless it's like the summer, then it's fine. You can go out in your swimsuit and it's fine. But especially if it's a bit cooler, or you're somewhere where you want to be a bit more privacy, then something like that's really good. I like that. So it's basically just like a tent awning. Does it attach at the top?
Yes, it attaches at the top. And it just looks like an awning, and I'll send you the link to it.
Please do.
And you just unzip it, and 2 arms come out, and it just pops out into this tent.
That is amazing. I love that. I've not seen one of those. So
it's a cool idea.
Yeah, I love that. That's really cool. And I mean, it's in your jobs that you have done have been made you be able to do this, but how do you plan everything? You've said about spreadsheets. Do you draw everything out, or how do you go through the process? Do you make mood boards, or?
So for the actual design layout, because the bus is in storage, obviously we're not with it at the moment, so we took meticulous measurements when we purchased it, and we took an internal and external video to refer back to. We took photographs sort of every frame of the bus, so that if we wanted to look back at it and make an adjustment, we could. So we planned out everything quite meticulously with measurements. And drew that out. And with fit out, I just put together a mood board of something that I really loved. Completely, as I said, completely different to our last project. And I just work with it from there.
Ah, that's so cool. That's really cool. It's just that's quite a fun process as well, I think.
Absolutely.
That's really cool. So you've gone from your Viscount and now you're doing this bus. What is it that made the Viscounts so great when you were using them, and what is it that you think that this new bus will provide you guys?
So I think the great thing about the Viscount was that it was small enough for us to transport around just behind our 4-wheel drive. It was really quite easy to set up. It was the perfect space for us. But as I said, the reason that we've upgraded to the bus is so that, our travelling and living can all be in the one space.
All in one.
And the bus also, the Viscount was quite wide. So we did have a lot of space in the middle that really wasn't utilised. It was lovely for the illusion and a sense of space that it gave us. But the bus being longer and skinnier, even though the square meterage of living space isn't huge, it appears much bigger. And the reason we also upgraded to the bus was the fact that, yes, it's off. We are able to go off grid, and that we are able to have our bathroom with us. That was probably the only thing I missed about a regular house, was having to share bathrooms. Not that we ever had any issues. We were so very fortunate. I think they were all very clean and we never wait. But, you know, when you get up at 2:30 a.m. and you need to go to the bathroom and it's raining and it's dark, it's not great to be running outside in that weather.
Definitely. And I think that's something that people always think about, is whether they should have a shower indoors, outdoors, have a toilet or not have a toilet. And I think if you do have one, or if you can put one in, I think it does help. But it's like you say, you've chosen to have your shower outside instead of inside. Is that so that you've got the extra space, or is it because you didn't want to have to worry about extra problems that could occur with like moisture or leaks and things like that?
You are spot on, and it's both reasons.
Yeah,
I suppose the main reason is, once again, because my husband is so tall.
Yeah,
he cannot actually stand in the bus upright. He has to stoop just a little bit. And which is fine if you're in the kitchen preparing something, or if you're sitting on the couch, or if you're lying in bed, it's not an issue. But he didn't want to be stooping in the shower, and we felt to make the shower big enough for him to be able to enjoy, it was taking up too much space in the bus for essentially something that you use for 5 or 10 minutes a day. So definitely. We thought it was really important to have toilet inside, but to sacrifice and have the shower outside. And yes, the big thing for us was the problems with mold or leaking or water damage. After doing a Viscount caravan and seeing water damage in lots of caravans, I'm paranoid about it. So I think it's a really smart move, and it works for us to have the shower outside. I know that's not for everybody. And I know that some people will sacrifice the space to have the luxury of an indoor shower, but it just works for us.
I love that. And with your toilet, how have you gone about your toilet? Because there's so many different ways of doing toilets, and there's so many different places that you can put a toilet as well.
Yeah. So sounds crazy, but it's actually going in the bottom of our wardrobe.
Okay.
So in the bottom of our wardrobe, we're going to have we've bought some industrial strength drawer sliders.
So you can pull out.
So the entire platform will pull out from the inside, from the base of the wardrobe, and the toilet will sit on top of that. Now it's called, I think it's actually, the brand is from the UK. It's called a Thetford.
The Thetfords, yeah.
So it actually looks and feels like a real toilet.
Yeah.
And it has a little electric flushing button that is powered by batteries.
Yeah.
So it's just got a 15-litre capacity down the bottom. It's got a 21-litre water capacity. It was reasonably priced. It's easy to use. And we will only be using for emergencies anyway.
Oh, amazing. So you don't have to worry about sort of having to change it all the time, or like the water like running out and things like that.
Fully contained, and it's got a really easy system that we can top it up at the top. It's got little water gauges.
Oh, wow.
It's fantastic.
Oh, that makes it so much easier. That's really, really cool. Oh, fantastic. I always like to ask my community and invite them to ask you a question. And the question that they wanted to ask you is, what are your goals for the rest of 2022? So I'm going to say 2022 for next year, for when the podcast comes out. So you can say your goals in general, but I'd love to know, what are your goals for the rest of 2022?
So the goal is that we will start the bus build next month, but really in earnest in January of 2022.
Okay.
So the goal is that it will only take us 3 months to fully convert the bus.
Yeah.
And then we will spend 3 months traveling around the top end of Australia. So we've travelled from Brisbane all the way down to Tasmania, across to South Australia and back up to Brisbane.
Oh, wow.
So we've done a lot of the bottom area, but we'd like to travel north. So we will spend 3 months travelling north, And then we have tickets booked for our European trip starting in Paris in June of
Wow.
2022. And we will travel around, and we've got a cruise coming back to Australia. We've got a cruise going out of Spain and coming back to Perth in November of 2022 and be home for Christmas.
Oh, that is amazing. So you are doing both traveling in the bus, you are traveling on a cruise, you're going to be just seeing and exploring so many places.
Full-time travel for 12 months, and then at the beginning of 2023 we'll take the bus and do another 6 months, and then once again go to Europe in the June. So we'll have summer in Australia and summer in Europe.
Oh, that's so cool. So you're doing 6 and 6, so 6 months in one and 6 months in the other. That's fantastic. Following the sun.
Following the sun. Yes.
I love that. That is so cool. And I always like to also ask a sustainable question, which is, what do you wish that you or we had more of sustainability wise?
Ooh, I wish we had more knowledge.
Yes.
I know that sounds like a fairly airy-fairy response, but
no,
I really do feel like that. I mean, the world is changing. It really has. I think the one great thing that has come out of this pandemic, if there is anything good, is that people are connecting more as communities. People are doing more things locally. They're thinking more about the environment and about sustainable living. I mean, the tiny house movement is huge. It is just gaining strength and strength. I just read an article this afternoon in one of the Australian newspapers that said next year 800,000 Australians will make a tiny house and life on the road their new home, which is phenomenal. I mean, that's just, that is crazy. There's so many people that are just have rethinking the way that they do things, rethinking their lives. And, you know, you've just got to look at examples around the world of, you know, dolphins now swimming in waters that have been unheard of for the last 50 years.
Yeah.
Forests regrowing back, air pollution actually reversing.
Yes.
And I look at our son, and he's 21 in February, and he's actually studying to be an environmental engineer.
Oh, amazing.
But I look at their generation, and that's the generation that will change the world. You know,
definitely.
they're more in tune with the environment. They're more in tune with, you know, plant-based living and alternative to everything. So I just wish there was more awareness, and that people were a little more open-minded, because if you open your mind to it, the possibilities are endless. And as I said, this pandemic has really shown what can happen when, you know, we put our minds together, that we can reverse the damage that's been done to the environment, and we can live much more sustainably.
Definitely. And I completely agree with that. I remember when we were in our lockdowns in the UK, and because people weren't allowed to go to the beaches and public spaces, there was no litter at all. As soon as it stopped, one of the most like iconic beaches in the UK was just flooded with litter, and it was horrific to see. And it just showed that it was us, for one, who was causing the problem, but also it showed what happens if we actually do take care. And people had started it, like you say, it had started reversing processes that were really bad, and it was reversing it all, which was amazing. So I completely agree. And I think if people had more knowledge and more awareness, and almost it would be fantastic if even like our adverts and things like that, if they had that knowledge within the adverts and things. We have so many fast food adverts, and like, yes, they're businesses and they need to make their money, but you need a variety of everything. Otherwise you're just getting one side of a decision or a road sort of thing.
And, you know, the amazing thing is that this pandemic has not even been around for 2 years yet.
No.
And look at the reverse effects of
such a short space.
Less than 2 years.
Yeah.
That's the most incredible thing, I think.
Yeah, definitely. It's amazing how quickly that turnaround is.
Yeah.
I think maybe people used to think, oh no, like that won't happen in my lifetime if I start like trying to do the right thing or just doing a little thing like recycling or something like that. So I think, yeah, it's definitely amazing how quickly, and even if you just do the smallest of things, how it actually does help, because if everyone does that, it makes such a huge difference.
It does. Yeah. One person can change the world. That sounds
Yeah.
crazy. But yeah, if we all had that mentality,
Yeah.
think of all the amazing things we could do.
Yeah, definitely. And it goes back to that thing about the litter as well. When people were in the lockdown and they weren't allowed to go to public spaces, that was literally just not littering. That was only one thing of not littering. And if people were just putting that rubbish in a bin and not littering, then it makes a huge difference. So I completely agree with that. I love that. Samantha, thank you so much for joining me today on the Tiny Sessions podcast.
Thank you, Nicole, for having me. It was so much fun.
It's so lovely to chat to you. And for anyone who wants to find out more about you guys and your bus journey, can you just tell us your new Instagram?
Yeah, so our new Instagram handle is hello_Mr, so MR _Pemberton. So at hello Mr Pemberton, and you will find us.
Perfect. Oh, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, Nicole.